will be aware of what to expect, and they make necessary adjustment to that it or suspended, as the case may be. So yeah, kudos to him, because
if you drink beer, if you drink alcohol,
tobacco also,
tobacco as well, cigarettes, that means you would pay more for locally produced, goods, which shouldn't be at this point in time.
So basically it's a good one, because if you look at the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, they also commended this move because it's going to bring their cost of production down, especially the materials they bring into the country. And just like we keep saying on this platform, that whenever there is an increase in the cost of production, the extra amount is going to spread across the goods. So it is the final consumer that will now be paying that increase. The burden will be on you, the final consumer. Exactly. And who are the final consumer? It is the you and I, the average Nigerians that are struggling to make end meets. We could struggle to talk about the purchasing power of Nigerians. Average Nigerians increasing is still stagnant, and you still pay more. So some of these policies are what I think a responsible government should do, and they are doing it. And one thing is that for you to come up with a policy and now retrace and look at the reality, okay, what is the reaction of people on the street? How is this policy affecting them? Is it negatively? How are they taking it? You also do that, and if you are responsive, you know that, okay, I need to make adjustment there, I need to make amend there. That is why we're human, and that is one thing that I don't like with Nigerian politicians, especially this their spokesperson. If your principal makes a policy or make a statement that you later on discover that this thing didn't go down well with people, it's having a negative impact, there is nothing wrong in coming out to retrace or now change that policy and say, okay, this thing really we anticipated it's going to give us a positive result, but unfortunately what we're saying is the other way around, so we have to retrace back and try to make further amends just because of you. It just take nothing away from you. I mean,
having politicians say they're sorry is almost, some people would say, is as hard as an elephant passing through a needle. Some people say that. But anyway, another aspect of this conversation is one that is very, very concerning to me, especially as it affects the Buhari's administration, because man came out to talk about the fact that they have over 60 taxes that they pay.
Issue of multiple taxation.
Exactly, multiple taxation. You now have the telecoms coming out to say, oh, them too, they're paying about 30 something taxes. So you begin to wonder, we have so many taxes. How is it possible that we do not have the money to show for it? How is it possible that the revenue that should have been generated from these multiple taxes, it's not commensurate? It's not balancing. The math is not mathing at this point in time. So you begin to wonder, what exactly was the Buhari's administration really doing with the economy? If you have a situation where you have 60 taxes and only 10 seem to be making you money, why will you not review? As a good businessman, you always carry out appraisals, right? Why will you not review to see, okay, where exactly is money coming from? Nigerians were paying so much more, but we're not seeing the money in the revenue. There were so many loopholes here and there. Yeah. So one begins to wonder, what exactly did the Buhari's administration do with our economy? It's a very, very pertinent question at this point in time, and I wish Garba Shehu were around to answer some of these questions. All right.
Let's proceed and look at other headlines. Remember, Abuja, you can also be part of the conversation by calling us via our studio line 0700 010 961 961 0700 010 961 961. And you can also check us on our social media handles at VOP961 on Twitter and Instagram. And don't forget, we're also
live on YouTube, VOP961. You can join the conversation. Always try to join the conversation, because hey, we are your voice. This is the platform for you to, you see that voice, that's complaint or that thing you wanted to say, this is the platform for you to air it out. Okay, and don't forget, at 6:30 we'll be joined by Mr. Rafai Hosseini to give us some justice, to do some justice to the headlines this morning. All right,
let's take a look at this particular headline. I'm trying to see, I give it a voice because it's very pertinent. It says, no plan to sell NNPCL shares, according to official. And you could, if I think my guess is not far from yours. because we already know at some point we were told that NNPCL belongs to Nigerians, and at some point they will float their shares. But let's go into the details of this particular headline because it is contained on the Punch newspaper. There is no decision yet by the federal government as regards selling the shares of Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited to the public through an initial public offer. An online medium had reported on Wednesday that the NNPCL missed the deadline for the launch of its initial public offering, stating that this was contained in the National Oil Company's latest quarterly report. In accordance with the Petroleum Industry Act, the oil firm transitioned from a state-run corporation to a commercial venture on July 19, 2022, and the NNPCL Group Chief Executive Officer Mele Kolukyari had, during the transition ceremony in Abuja here, stated that the company will be ready to launch an initial public offer by mid-year in 2023. During an IPO, that is initial public offer, the shares of a firm are sold to institutional investors interested in owning stakes in the particular company. But when contacted by talking about Punch correspondent on Thursday, and asked to state what caused the delay in the IPO declaration and whether the oil firm had fixed a new date for the public offering, the Chief Corporate Communications Officer NNPCL, Garbadeen Mohammed, said it was not the decision of the oil company but the government. He was also asked to state how much was NNPCL targeting or expecting from the exercise and how much was the share expected to sell for. Other questions include which investment banks were underwriting the offering and whether ordinary Nigerians could buy the shares or whether it was meant for only accredited and institutional investors. But in a very brief response by Mohammed Din, he said shareholders have not decided. It's not an NNPC decision. Government will decide when to sell, how much to sell down, and at what value. So really, a look into the Petroleum Industry Act showed that the shareholders of the NNPCL include the federal government, represented by the Ministry of Finance Incorporated and the Ministry of Petroleum Incorporated. The shares are held in equal portions for the two ministries, and this means that in effect, the shareholders of NNPCL are the Nigerian people. The PIA was passed in 2021 with the goal of overhauling the Nigerian oil and gas industry. One of the key provisions of the PIA is the corporatization of NNPC, which means that it will be transformed into a limited liability company. Now, the past 6 months in this year, we are yet to see the initial public offer of NNPCL. And this goes down to tell us how, or the gap that exists between Nigerian institution and the populace. How do you expect us to trust you? I could recall part of our conversation yesterday when Rufai made reference to what Mele Kolukyari said a couple of months ago after the subsidy removal. He said we still have enough fuel in our farm, that's in stock, but less than 48 hours later he came out to increase the pump price of fuel, telling Nigerians that subsidy has not been taken care of for this period and we have to buy the fuel at 514 naira, as the case may be, from 490 to almost 70. It depends on the location. So it now boils down to tell you that there is still problem in how we run our public institutions in Nigeria. You have transitioned into a commercial venture, commercial entity. So why the delay? If it were to be a private owned business, I'm sure if they are unable to meet up with that first half of the year to declare, or mid of the year 2023 to declare or float their shares, they will come out with a convincing update on why they did not do that.
You know, Aliyu, one of the questions, especially during the Buhari's administration, was if the government understood what they were doing, because the PIA was passed during the Buhari's administration,
yes.
And there was a lot of meetings, committees here and there just to ensure a holistic PIA, right? So, by definition of what the PIA states, it means that the Finance Ministry and the federal government equally own the NNPC, right? Ministry of Petroleum, rather. They equally own
equal stakes.
They have equal stakes in the NNPCL. So at this point in time, the PIA didn't state when it was going to start. It gave an amount of time. It says this particular thing can take place 5 years, within 5 years of this particular PIA coming into limelight, right? So you have to understand that one thing the Buhari's administration didn't do was specify, was an average Nigerian going to be allowed to purchase shares? Was it going to just be businesses? Was it going to just be, you get specify the terms of who exactly can have access to this particular, the shares in the NNPCL. So once we didn't do that, once the Buhari's administration didn't do that, already we fell into a land of confusion there. So it's 7:30. We'll soon try to reach out to Mr. Rufai Hosseini, but you can join us. We're live on YouTube. It is at VOP 961. VOP 961. Also, the phone number to call is 0700 010 961 961. I'll take that again, 0700 010 961 961. Join the conversation. Let's get your thoughts on our line of discuss this morning. Pretty sure that the Tinubu's administration will have to go and understand, have to be the ones to bring out the terms and conditions, the criteria for which people can actually buy.
Morning, bless you.
Good morning to you, Mr. Rufai.
Morning, bless you, bless Abuja.
Bless you too.
All right, Mr. Rufai, we have a headline. We have a headline this morning talking about INEC filing 6-count charge against the suspended Adamawa rec. What exactly do you think about this particular question? Mr. Rufai?
Hello? Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
So we were talking about INEC filing a 6-count charge against the suspended Adamawa rec.
I think he's with us.
Hello, Mr. Rufai?
Yes, I will shoot you. Go ahead.
So INEC files a 6-count charge against suspended Adamawa rec, and right now we're wondering if this is what Nigerians actually wanted in the first place, right? What do you think about it?
INEC did what? Say that again, please.
INEC filing a 6-count charge against suspended Adamawa rec.
I mean, yes, INEC has a right to prosecute Mr. Harry, and INEC must see this case to a logical conclusion because it impugns on the integrity of INEC. We all remember the debacle in Adamawa and what happened.
Yeah.
And we all remember what ensued and how Mr. Harry did something that is very inimical to the growth and development of democracy and almost threw the country into rancor. And all the certain political actors that went to congratulate Madam Binani on winning an election that had not concluded, and how they almost fraudulently took the elections in Adamawa. So we remember that. I will not forget that. So INEC must follow this case to a logical conclusion. We are waiting. We want to see how it's going to be. I doubt if Mr. Binani has been picked up, because for grave crimes like that, I think people should not just leave it with levity, and INEC must do something and follow it to the last. That's pure and simple. And we're going to have a country where lawlessness reigns. We can't have that country.
All right. Mr. Rufai, the president has suspended the
actors, the dramatic personnel. Hang on a minute. No,
okay. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, but the network is actually fluctuating.
Let's try to reconnect. We'll get back to you shortly.
Please just call me on the normal line. Yes, I'm giving you extra numbers. Just call me on the normal line, please. Sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Another headline that we didn't even get to talk about is that of the suspended commander of the IGP IRT, talking about Abakari, who was granted bail yesterday out of one of the 2 cases he's facing in court. And a lot of media handles picked that story yesterday. It trended overnight and up till this morning, but many people didn't understand some of the. Okay, I think
hello, Jesse, can you hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Yeah. So as I was saying, so I said we should not leave our country in such a way where people can just do things and go scot free with it. The other thing I wanted to say is the fact that the other actors too, nothing has been done to them. The Madam Binani that read an acceptance speech
Exactly.
for an election she did not win, and she knew it was fraudulently announced in her favor, and she didn't wait till the end of the election. Nothing has been done to Madam Binani. You see, that's how we start to lose a country because we don't do what is right. Also, the Nigerian Television Authority that carried an acceptance speech, all right? Because if it's other media channels that carry that thing, will have been suspended by the NBC or slammed a fine. Till today, I'm not sure the NBC did anything to NTA. And you can see the kind of country we live in. So you see, when impunity starts to raise its ugly head, we should remember when the rain started to beat us. Because apart from Ari now that has been taken up on this issue, the other dramatic personnel and actors, the National Television Authority that was part of all of this shenanigan, that carried a broadcast announcing an acceptance speech for an inconclusive election results, nothing had been done to them. And that's the kind of country we live in. So we should remember, when the rain starts to beat us, when the reign of impunity starts to become dominant in our land, we should remember the acts we did towards it. Because these are the things other people too watch and they say to themselves, what the heck, I can go scot-free with anything in Nigeria. Let us remember all of this. Let us remember, because we should not forget. And you see, these were the things the EU put in their report, and I don't know why some people were going to protest. I'm not going to take away their right of protest, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I keep asking, did the EU lie in their reports? So when you are protesting against this thing, let's also have a logical disposition to issues. Didn't the Ari incident happen before our own eyes?
It did.
Where the state broadcaster was used to perpetrate such an electoral crime. Because if it was the private media house that carried that broadcast, and in a case where a government in the opposition was the one in power, do you know the private media house is done for?
Definitely.
It's done for. And I'll give you a clear experience I had. A station called GFM Radio in Warri was shut down in the early 2000s. You know why? Because election had not been concluded between Ipuri and Oburu, and somebody brought an announcement, and it was only the journalist that was on duty and scared the journalist to read the announcement. And I remember what happened. All the promoters of the radio station were arrested, incarcerated, and guess what happened? That station was shut down for a bit. And that blight singularly never left the station anymore, because I have close association with the station. The station is still my baby. I work there. This was despite the fact that they were threatening. See, nobody threatened and letting. They voluntarily, willingly carried the broadcast. So we should not forget.
All right. Still with this issue of INEC, Rufai, I want to have your take on this particular thing. I know for a fact that the Electoral Act has made provision for offenses and also how to go about prosecuting electoral offenders, but it doesn't have the power to investigate. That power lies with the police. Do you think their inability to investigate their own cases would not go a long way in affecting the stance on or how they prosecute their cases in court?
If it lies with the police, nothing will happen. Sad to say, but that's the truth. I speak the facts. Why? Because we've seen the antecedents. Do you know that from over 700 electoral offenders, when the police were going to present, they presented over 200. So what happened to the rest? The same police that was saying where thugs were carrying ballot boxes and they were shielding thugs on video in River State, that is going to prosecute electoral offenders. That is going to investigate electoral offenders. So if we want our elections to work, we must be able to set up an independent election offenders commission
All right.
that will investigate and charge cases to court. It's as simple as that. Say the police, give me the police oversight function. It's not going to work. And those are the things the Ukwe's reporter talked about. Is it the same police that the EU report indicted, saying that the police watched on how ballot boxes were taken? Didn't you see cases like that? So cases like that everywhere now. In Rivers was even worse off. The police was there when people were taking ballot boxes away and they were like shield to them. Or maybe if the police would deny that those ones were wearing police uniforms. So you see, we've just built them that if you're on top, it favors you. You can get away with murder. But if you are below, but you see, a system that is fair, that works for all, is what builds a nation. So my answer to you, sir, my Oga,
Yeah.
it's not.
It's actually Aliyu Doma.
Eh?
The name is actually Aliyu.
No, I said let me call you my Oga now.
No, the name is Aliyu. I prefer that. Thank you.
My Oga, don't worry.
Okay.
So the truth has to be said. We can't keep deceiving ourselves. It's sad. It's sad that we don't build the country this way. Now it's just, you know, the kind of country we've built is that I will do anything to get to power. When it's my time, I will use it and humiliate my enemies, and I will leave. And when other people get to power, I will beg them, please don't humiliate me too much. So that's why it's a power grabbing. It's not a free country for all now. And it's just mutilated. But we need to be able to build a better society.
And that is not far from what we are seeing playing out in Kano as a result of that Gandola video when the former Kano State Governor Ganduje's video of Dollar in Kano. The information now has it that the Kano State Government Code of Conduct Tribunal or Bureau have carried out a forensic investigation, and they have a report that the video was actually not a doctored video. But APC in Kano are saying it is just a witch hunt to dent the image of the ex-governor.
No, but even before this Kano, there are people that have verified that video, and we've taken it through software apps, and we see that the video was a true video now. So we are not surprised. We know it happened. But you see, it's still part of the society we are talking about.
Yeah.
APC will defend it because he's their own person. If he was not their person, they will say he should go to hell. But does that make it right for a governor to be able to collect money in bribes for contracts? It doesn't make it right. So you see, if we have a country we cannot collectively speak against people, then we don't have a country. Because it's a country that we can't set parameters for what is good and what is not good. So once you don't have that, you are losing the country. So if it favors me, I will call bad good. But you can't build the country that way. And I think Ganduje should be investigated. We should have accountability.
Yeah.
If a former governor is investigated, no matter who you are, then you will bring back some level of accountability. But there's also a story in the papers this morning that is talking about the fact that, you know, when you look at it, I think they've withdrawn the need to allow EFCC investigate further in the case and all of that, you know. So there's a lot of things going on, and these politicians don't believe that, because you see, the moment they strike a deal at your back, you will not be there, because all of these people want reform now. This same Kwankwaso and Ganduje were fighting. When they fight, they bring the war into their fight. When they reconcile, you will not be there when they reconcile. But let the rule of law abide for everybody. It's as simple as that. We can't keep building insolence.
All right, Mr. Rufai, the president has signed an executive order suspending 5% excise tax on telecoms. The angle I want to come from is the fact that MAN came out to talk about a 60 number of taxes that they pay the government, and then the telecoms also came out to say they also pay 33 number of taxes. So we're seeing, multiple taxes here and there, but we're not reaping the dividends of those taxes. They're supposed to be revenue generating channels, right? But during the Buhari's administration, especially, it was during that time that the number of taxes increased. So how come we didn't see a commensurate increase in the number of amount of revenue generated?
Because we're not accountable, pure and simple. And that's why our business environment is very nebulous. That's why investors are not coming. So what you need is a holistic, structural business environment rejig. How do you start first? We start with taxation. So most of these things, and the extension dates given by the president yesterday in the executive order, were not new. They were just following the law in consonance with what we call the National Tax Policy of 2017. That says if you put in a new tax entry, you must be able to give a 90-day allowance. And most of those former taxes were signed on by President Buhari in the last days in office. So you needed that 90-day to pure and simple. So they were not new. But the taxes, the 5%, yes, in fact, I remember that tax particularly because I was part of those that campaigned vigorously on TV against those taxes. The telecoms company were paying a lot of taxes already. And the business environment was not really conducive. So why tax them even further? And Isa Pantami finally yielded, and I think they had also notified the president. So I think pretty much those things were a carryover. The plastic tax and everything that was put on hold, which might still be reviewed, is because with environmental around the world, single-use plastics and all of that. And these are challenges. But also, the taxation is so much that man has also been complaining. So also they talk about extra taxes on drinks and all of that. Because the argument man keeps making is the fact that I think there was also even the sugar tax that was being talked about at the point. The argument man making is that they are one of the largest employers of labor in this country. I think close to 2 to 5% of the national people employed in the country are people that are employed under the man threshold that work for various companies and the likes under Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. So most of them would lose their jobs because of taxation is going to burden them already. Again, the business climate is so difficult. So I think in rejigging this tax problem, what we should do is have a unified tax system. Can we have a central collection point and make it very easy to pay? All right, have a central collection point. According to the National Tax Policy of 2017, we have 3 thresholds. We have the federal taxes, the state tax, and the local government taxes. If it's a way that we can harmonize the taxes and split it across board, just like pretty much we have one collection point and split it across, just like we do with VAT and the likes, and lump it together. So there's so much, that we can do as regards rejigging the tax, because this is how investors will come, and also have flexible tax plans for people willing to invest a lot. So take, for instance, for so many years, the Irish economy grew year on year because of taxation. That's why you see all the big tech companies are in Ireland. They have a special deal. I think sometimes they do corporate tax for companies. They go as low as even 12 or 11%. Where you have countries over the channel like Britain doing like 20% or thereabout, or 30%.
Yeah.
Corporate tax. They do as low as 10, 11 or 12% in Ireland. That's why you see all the big companies like Google and the likes all have their headquarters in Ireland. And they're making a lot of money from it. So we can also use that to be able to attract people. That's just it. Recently the what's it called? Nations. This association of rich nations around the world. I remember their name. What?
Are you talking BRIC nation?
No, not BRIC nations. Association of rich nations. I'll remember their name now.
Okay.
They were recently a general, 20% tax, quota, for income tax for businesses across the world. I don't know how that plan went. A couple of countries didn't sign up to it. So, if we can have like a appropriate tax quota and it's very competitive, people will come, because businesses also are burdened with a lot. They're looking at infrastructure that is readily not available. So one of the things that's sweetening the way for them is tax.
Yeah. It will certainly go a long way. And the time is not on our side. Let's see if we can take this story that made the news late yesterday that came up talking about Abakari, who has been granted bail in one of the two cases he's facing in court. He has been in detention for about 18 months. And he has been granted bail yesterday in one of the cases. Of course, he's still under detention until he meets with the bail conditions and also secure another bail condition from the other case he is facing. The time frame is where I want to look at. There was a case in the UK talking about the case that concerns Senator Ike Ekweremadu that lasted for 9 months from investigation, prosecution, and subsequent sentencing within 9 months. Abakari is here 18 months and no end in sight in this case. What would you say about our criminal justice system? And secondly, don't you think if at all he meets up with the bail conditions, he gets out, that will jeopardize the investigation, the ongoing investigation,
the integrity of the investigation?
So the tax regime I was trying to remember was the OECD.
Okay.
They were trying to strike an international tax deal for digital age of 15%. That's what I was trying to remember. Okay. OECD, the agglomeration of rich nations around the world, OECD.
Okay.
So, concerning the Abu Kiari case, yes, I mean, you are trying to compare the UK and Nigeria. They have a better, attitude to criminal justice and all of that. The investigators there, they cracked the case. This case was a landmark case, and they were able to settle the case in 9 months. But here, case dragged for years, 10, 15 years, thereabout, or even more. Abba Kyari, if he concludes bail time, I don't think it's going to stop the investigation in any way, shape, or form. But the question is, how watertight is the case in the first place? So if they can get their case properly and be able to enunciate the case properly and ensure that it goes well, then they'll be able to build a case around it. At first, the one is in connection to drug. The second one was in connection to not declaring his assets. He's found guilty. Then tradition will take over, and they will be able to mete out his penalties against him. It's as simple as that. So I don't think if he's within his rights and the judge grants him, and they said it's not a risk, and they are going to collect his international passport and everything as part of the bail terms.
Yeah.
So they should be able to apprehend it. So I don't think that should. But like you raised a very good point, we should improve on our criminal justice systems. As simple as that.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Rafai, for having a conversation with us this morning.
Bless you guys.
All right. Have a good day. All right, to you listening, you've been listening to Front Page Review right here on VOP 96.1 FM. You have the opportunity to let us know what you think about any of our headlines. 0700 010 961 961. 0700 010 961 961. Let's get your thoughts on our conversation today. Looking at a lot of headlines that we've read, the excise tax. We also looked a little bit on the Gandola case, a case of I don't even know what to call it. A situation where the blind man can see that this video, wasn't doctored. We settled this case years ago, and we're still seeing politicians do what they do, what some of them do best, which is try to lie about some cases. So anyway, we have to know what you actually think about what we're talking about this morning. 0700 010 961 961.
You can also send SMS to same number, or you chat us on WhatsApp, the same number, or you use the WhatsApp portal to call in. Yes, you will get through to the studio. And remember, your voices matters. That is why we are voice of the people. Your voice is the most important voice we actually want to hear on our speakers. So do well to call, because we have a little less than 1 or 2 minutes to wrap up the show this morning. And don't forget, you can watch us live on YouTube at VOP 961. That is Voice of the People 961. Okay, and also we're live on Instagram and Twitter at VOP 961.
You can catch any of our shows. You can catch any of them if you want to find out what exactly it is that we do here at VOP 961. Then you can find out all about that on our YouTube page. Okay, just go ahead, search VOP 961. Find out something interesting that has been talked about right here. We are the platform where you air your views, where you let your voice be heard. Voice of the People, 96.1 FM. This has been the front page review. Unfortunately, we don't do front page review. It wouldn't be an Aliyu and Gesere front page review tomorrow. It will be just Aliyu right here looking at the headlines, doing a sort of like a summary of all the trending headlines that happened over the week, over the course of the week. So you want to join us all the time, keeping it locked right here. Coming up next at 8 a.m. it is Igwamaka, and you want to find out what exactly it is that the High Chief has to say. I can never complete it. His name, I don't know how to call it, but anyway, you have to keep it locked right here. Don't go anywhere.
All right, my name is Ali Doma.
Gesere is my name. Good morning. Have yourselves a wonderful Friday.